Good morning, good morning. Welcome into First Take. Two great Monday Night Football games last night. We had Chris Canty, we got Chris Saturday, Stephen A. Smith, Amita Smith here with you. Stephen A. joining us off of Injured Reserve.
Let me let the audience know something. I mean, this is breaking news because if you see my face is like twice the size. I had like a double root canal, whatever. I had emergency surgery, so my face is half swollen and stuff like that. So this will be one of those days where you'll actually hear me talking less.
Ooh.
So consider this a very
Congratulations, America. Congratulations. You got two of the smartest individuals giving you more info today.
That's right. I'm deferring to y'all. So enjoy this moment. Enjoy this moment.
Now, I hope you don't think we're gonna take it easy on you.
Y'all too.
I hope you're not angling for the sympathy vote, sir.
No.
Because that's not gonna happen.
Let me tell you something
not
right now.
today.
You two are two of the cruelest dudes I know. I know better.
We don't feel sorry for injured players. We
Exactly.
Not taking advantage. Oh, my goodness.
Stephen A. on this injury report, double root canal, cool.
Oh, my goodness. All right, guys, let's get into it. Kicking off with that game from last night. The Lions handled the Buccaneers in prime time, 24-9. Detroit outgained the Bucs on offense, 379 to 251 yards, averaging about 6 yards per play. Jahmyr Gibbs was the star of the show, blocking, catching, and running. Gibbs finished the night with 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Lions improved to 5-2 and now have the second shortest odds to win the NFC, only slightly behind the Packers as the favorites in the conference, according to ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Jeff, I'll start with you. Do you believe this year is the year that the Lions, that they win the NFC?
I do think that this is the year. I really like this football team, and I'll say this. I think last night was kind of a big tell for me. When you play a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is explosive as they are, with a defense when your little 4 starters, your 2 starting corners, 2 starting safeties don't play, and you go in and you limit them to basically 250 yards on offense, but more importantly, limit them to 3 explosive plays. That's doing something. Dan Campbell did a thing afterwards where he talked about how good the defense played. I mean, it's infectious, right? And then you flip it over, you look at them offensively, how explosive they had 8 explosive plays last night to 3 from Tampa. So I look at the way this team, they were the most physical team, which is saying something against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who again, I think will be there in late January, potentially in February. These 2 are the heavyweights for me in the NFC right now. And I really liked, it wasn't a perfect day. It was not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but they still found a way to win against a very good opponent. After a tough loss, they played angry, and it showed.
Yeah, that was a culture win for the Detroit Lions. That's exactly what Dan Campbell wants to do, how he wants to play, how he wants to win. I'm his former teammate. I played with him with the Dallas Cowboys. He was a gritty dude, not a superstar, not going to catch 80 balls as a tight end, but he is going to block, and he is going to knock guys down.
That's right.
And that's exactly what that Detroit Lions team did on both sides of the ball. The offensive line asserted themselves. Penei Sewell, you saw him out in front, leading the way for Jahmyr Gibbs. I can't believe it. I saw a 330-pound offensive lineman outrunning one of the fastest running backs in the NFL.
But we too fast to block him.
Exactly.
You got to slow it down,
we saw that last night, right?
Yes.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, what the Lions were able to do, taking the fight to that Tampa Bay Bucs offensive line and to Baker Mayfield in that passing game, that was impressive. Last night, that Lions defensive front had 18 pressures on 54 dropbacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 9 forced incompletions. So week over week, we saw a difference in how that Detroit Lions defense played the passing game. Now, again, different class of competition going up against Mahomes versus Baker Mayfield.
That's right.
But the Bake Show coming into week 7 was at the top of a lot of people's list when it comes to the MVP conversation. And the Detroit Lions put all of that on ice with the way that they dominated. And here's the interesting thing. They played with a lot of backups. None of their starters in that secondary from week 1.
That's right.
And guess what? Kelvin Shepard, their defensive coordinator, dialed up the man coverage. They went 61% man coverage as opposed to doing the zone coverage thing a week ago. and those guys stepped up. So he deserves credit, and those guys stepping in deserve a ton of credit for last night.
I don't disagree with anything that y'all are saying. And just to be specific, the folks that was out, you had Terrion Arnold that was out, DJ Reed out, Kirby Joseph out, Brian Branch suspended, of course.
Yep.
And they still performed the way that they did. So we're looking at their defense, and we got to give props where props is due. Because let's be real, that's the question about the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
It's about their defense. Offensively, ain't nobody questioning the Detroit Lions.
Right.
When you see Gibbs, when you know what he's capable of, you know what goal. Is capable of, even though he struggled a little bit last night, a fumble, interception, etc. You see stuff like that, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, the weapons that they have, these brothers are no joke offensively. Defensively is the question mark. But here's where we got to give love to Dan Campbell. 51 straight games without back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's right.
51 straight games without back-to-back losses. It's a culture that exists in Detroit, and that's what I love seeing right now. Kelvin Shepherd, like you pointed out, okay, you got Aaron Glenn. He's gone. His brother steps in. He's swearing up and down. He's ready to take over the helm. He's showing that he's able to do that. The question that I have to Detroit, they had expectations last year, too. Now, granted, a whole bunch of injuries.
Yes.
Right. They lost to Washington in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We can't forget that. The flip side to it is that you got guys out now. Somehow, some way, as the season progresses, you know what, you look at them and you know they got the talent. But when you have those expectations, cats get tight sometimes. And that's what we got to watch out for with Detroit. We know that the Eagles can handle it because they're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. I'm looking at Tampa last night. Evans comes back, and then he goes down.
Yeah.
Of course, you look at them. They're bereft of their weapons. So Tampa Bay, the team that you'll likely see come postseason, is not the team that you saw last night. I'm looking at Seattle, San Francisco, L.A., Matthew Stafford. He ain't going to get rattled. I'm looking at stuff like that. Even though I believe in Detroit, I'm just not as resolute about it as y'all are right now.
Well, here's why I'm bullish on Detroit. And you brought up the injuries that the Lions experienced last year and how they're dealing with something similar on defense this year. Here's where I'll point out that not all injuries are created equal. The Detroit Lions are more equipped to overcome the injuries that they got on the back end with the dudes that they got on the front end. Remember, Aiden Hutchinson and Alem McNeil did not finish the season last year.
That's right.
They got those guys back. They got DJ Reader back. He's healthy. So they've got those dudes to help them overcome that. Last night in the fourth quarter, Aiden Hutchinson had 4 of his 5 pressures, including a pressure that led to a forced incompletion. They held Baker Mayfield to 1 of 13 on throws of 15 air yards or more. And that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing game has been living off of.
Question. I'm asking because I don't know.
Go for it.
Question. Was it that they held Baker Mayfield, or was it that the receivers couldn't get open?
No, they
were getting after Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Okay, I know they pressured him 20 times. They sacked him 4 times. But I'm just asking, did you see receivers open for Tampa Bay? Because I didn't.
There were receivers open.
Yeah, he sailed
There were receivers open. Emeka Ibuka was open. Taz Johnson was open several times.
Yeah, he sailed them.
He was sailing a lot of throws. He was under duress.
I was going to say this before. The second play of the game, I think it was the second play of the game, or maybe Mayfield drops back, and their defensive line literally, and I think it was McNeil that you just said, I think he pushes the center like into the lap of Baker Mayfield, right? Mayfield scrambles out and gets, it's still a sack because he's short a yard or whatever, but Baker Mayfield kind of does Mayfield things, doesn't quite get there. As an offensive lineman, I'm watching that game and I was like, dang. I'm just going to tell you, because when we have a big drive, we come off the field like all day, right? We're going to do this all day. You set the tempo, you set the tone, right? When you get hit in the mouth on play 2 or play 3 and they drive, all 5 of you are in the lap of the quarterback. You go to the sideline and boys, this could be a long day. Right. This could be a long freaking day. And it was. The Lions defensive line kept pursuing Mayfield. And I don't care how good quarterbacks are. When they got to worry about getting hit or even having to move off their spot, it changes their style of play. I give a ton of credit to that front, and to your point about not all injuries are equal. That back end can look really good as long as that front end is putting pressure on the quarterback. That's what happened last night. It was a phenomenal game against a very good opponent. I think that's what I appreciate.
They didn't have Bucky Irvin. They didn't have Godwin. They didn't have Godwin. They lost Evans. You're down 2 offensive linemen. I'm looking at all of that, too, and that's what I'm saying. Again, I understand that the Lions are who they are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is not who we expect.
Yeah, they'll be better. I agree. Irving
That's
coming back will be a massive addition. He really will. The Evans injury, he ain't coming. Godwin, I don't know if he's. I mean, he may come back, but he's obviously playing one game. Like, he's banged up. Like, is he going to be that same kind of threat even if he does get on the field this season, or is it more, hey, projection the next? Because that was a nasty injury.
Lions also 13-3 in primetime games.
Yeah.
Tampa 2-8.
Yeah. They lied
Saying.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, not a complete team last night, but they have been doing well, even though they have not been complete through the first leg of this season. All right, so the late game, Seahawks taking on the Texans. Seattle beat Houston 27-19. However, it was a Seahawks defense that was the star of the show. They held the Texans to 254 total yards and sacked C.J. Stroud 3 times. Jackson Smith-Njigba also got in the end zone for a touchdown and became the first player in Seahawks history with at least 100 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown in 3 straight games. Chris, I'll start with you. Are you higher on the Seahawks or lower on C.J. Stroud after what you saw last night?
Ooh, I'm probably going to go higher on the Seahawks. And I know the perception of this team is a little bit different just because of the last name on the back of the jersey for the quarterback.
Yeah.
But people need to get the New York Jets version of Sam Darnold out of their mind. And they got to move past what they saw from Sam Darnold at the end of last season against the Minnesota Vikings. This dude is leading the NFL in explosive plays in the passing game. He's got more 20-plus yard completions than anybody in all of football. And a big reason why is because he's got number 11, Jackson Smith-Njigba, on his team. JSN is leading the league in receiving by damn near 200 yards. This dude is special. He accounts for 46% of the yardage in the passing game for the Seattle Seahawks, and Sam Darnold has a 96.6 QBR when targeting him. So they've got a special connection. And in that defense for the Seattle Seahawks, led by Byron Murphy II, their first-round draft pick from a year ago, that is a dominant unit. We're talking about lights out. They are number 1 in stopping the run in the National Football League. They get after you like nobody's business. They're top 5 in pressures. That is a unit that is championship caliber. So when we have the conversation about the contenders in the NFC, hell, if you just want to boil it down to the NFC West, which is the most competitive division in all of football, let's not discount the Seattle Seahawks.
Absolutely.
Just because they're arriving right now.
What are they, everybody's 5-2, 3-5-2 teams.
Correct. 5-2,
Yep. I mean, this is a tough question for me. And honestly, like, I'll probably lean the same way with the Seahawks, but I'm disappointed in the Houston Texans. Like, like, we're going to put everything at the feet of Stroud, but the reality is they're not helping him. I mean,
the offensive line is awful.
And Nico Collins has a big drop early in the game coming across the middle where there was a wide open. Now, Stroud didn't play well either. I'm not absolving him of how he played, but I expected more from this team, I guess, than what it's showing. And I don't feel like they have any semblance of a good run game. Seattle got after them the same way we talked about the Lions getting it. They physically, took control and dominated this football game. Darnold's first or pass to JSN for the touchdown, he's getting hit right in the teeth against a really, really good Houston Texans defense, in my opinion. And
number 1 scoring defense.
I mean, they are, and
Texans defense is outstanding.
Lights it up. Like, puts the ball right over the top. JSN for the touchdown. I think when you're putting so much on the Texans defense, they just can't find, right? They're not finding enough ways for Stroud in this offense. It just looks totally discombobulated on the offensive side for the Texans. I don't know what their identity is.
This is simple for me. Nick Chubb in their rushing game rushed 15 times for 31 yards.
Yeah, man.
They averaged 2.1 yards a carry. Your offensive line is ranked 29th in the league, so you ain't protecting the quarterback.
Right.
You're not run blocking, okay? So that, to me, says the whole story about their offense, because C.J. Stroud has shown us enough in his career for us to know he's better than this.
Oh, for sure.
He's better than this. So if you don't get, like you just finished talking about, if you can't protect your quarterback, if he got to dance in the pocket, if he can't find a comfort spot, if he can't be out there, if he can't purview the landscape, I mean, come on now. What do you expect him to do? So that's the situation with them right there. Here's what I would tell you about Seattle. I'm not rolling with you on that just yet. I'm talking about Sam Darnold. Here's what I'm saying. This is me talking.
Yeah.
I saw the season finale of the regular season game after you were 14-2 last year.
Detroit Lions.
I ain't letting that go.
Right.
You ain't doing that, CC. You ain't doing that. You ain't gonna recall with a Joe Burrow and everybody and their grandmama everything they did months ago or last year. But we gonna get to Sam Darnold and Chris Canty gonna sit up there and say, "Nah, forget all that." Oh
Right.
no. Come to me week 16 and 17 and say that. Not week 7. Oh no. Sam Darnold looked spectacular last year. Okay, spectacular last year, leading the Vikings to a 14-2 record before he nosedived. I'm saying to you, I need to see. I need to see what you're going to do as the season wanes. San Francisco and L.A. is right in that division. Puka Nacua didn't play the other day. They still trounced Jacksonville. I'm looking at San Francisco finding a way to win games with Mac Jones. And I'm saying to myself, you should be able to win this. You should be able to do your thing. If you that dude, Sam Darnold, you should be able to do it. Let's see what you're going to do week 15, week 16, week 17, because we know it's going to come down to that in the NFC West, right? Let's see what you're going to do in the playoffs as well. We ain't going to just ignore all of that from last year. We're not doing that, CC. Let's hold on to it.
I'm glad you did, because if he would, here's the thing. If Sam Darnold plays good in those 2 games, he's still a Viking.
That's
you
right.
You and I both know he plays good in the final game and the playoffs. He got sacked, 9 times?
There you go.
Like, at some point, if that dude plays decent, he's still a Viking.
Okay, so we're going to discount the impact that the Christian Darrisaw injury had on Sam Darnold in the version of when we saw late last year.
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right.
But
Fair. It's fair.
The Bucs had an offensive line issues. They had a center playing left tackle early this season.
Yeah, not
right?
great. Not great.
But he's playing out there, right? Patrick Mahomes had a guard playing. Like, there's going to be situations where the quarterback has to overcome those. So for the Sam Darnold is he that guy? I think if he was that guy, they would have kept him in Minnesota. So I agree with Stephen A. on that. He's playing. He's MVP right now in that conversation of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a long season, and you got to finish a big one, especially in a competitive division like we're saying, 3, 5, and 2 teams. That's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Seattle's offensive line is playing really, really well in terms of protecting the quarterback, right? And all quarterbacks are not equal when it comes to how they handle pressure.
Sure.
So as long as they're keeping Sam Darnold clean and as long as number 11 is healthy, I'll take my chances with Sam Darnold under center.
I don't mind you taking your chances.
Especially with that defense backing him up.
I'm not asking you not to take chances. I'm saying don't look at us and tell us to forget last year. Don't do that yet. That's all I'm saying.
You're talking about the NFC West conversation, and you're talking about San Francisco. They're the 48ers, not the 49ers. All the guys, they got hurt. Why are you sitting there saying you have any kind of belief in what the San Francisco 49ers are going to do?
I'm only mentioning them because they're in the division. I'm not trying to imply belief in the San Francisco. I believe in L.A. more than I believe in San Francisco. What I'm saying to you, however,
you hold on to that bad back.
Hold on. Don't come on. Don't come on.
Don't hold on to that bad back.
What bad back?
That bad back.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I am.
You hold on to that.
Yeah. I am going to hold on to that. I believe in Stafford. But what you're not going to do is come to us in week 7 and telling us to forget what we saw at the end of last year.
Right.
You ain't doing that. You ain't doing that, CC.
Well,
we want to see what he does as the season wanes.
Stephen A., what I am telling you is more quarterbacks than not are products of their environment. And Sam Darnold is in the right environment, and he's got a team that is being led by their defense. Their defense is the catalyst, and they've got a good support.
I saw Justin Jefferson. I saw Hawkinson. I saw these brothers in Minnesota. He had some weapons last year.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't have weapons, but it don't matter if you can't keep the quarterback upright.
That's true.
Jeff Saturday just told you he got sacked 9 times in the playoff game.
That's
Come on,
true.
Stephen A.
That's true. The quarterback
what
got
happened
to be on
against
his
Detroit?
feet.
And a bunch of reserves.
It was bad.
A bunch of
It was bad.
Is that bad?
Hey, look, I can't put lipstick on a pig.
You got
that. Come on, man.
Just a little bit. All right, let's transition to some baseball. The World Series is set. It was George Springer with a 3-run home run that vaulted the Blue Jays to the World Series in Game 7 of the ALCS as they held on to defeat the Mariners 4-3 at Rogers Center. It's Toronto's first appearance in the World Series since 1993, and it's a very unexpected appearance as well. Entering the season, the Jays were 60-1 to win it all. That was tied for the 8th longest odds in baseball. Meanwhile, the Dodgers were a heavy favorite at plus 275. Game 1 is set for Friday in Toronto. Mad Dog joining us right now. And Mad Dog, did the Blue Jays take this series, or did Seattle just blow it?
Well, that's a good one, and I'm going to say Seattle had a lot to do with this. Remember, only 4 teams have blown 2-0 leads when they win the first 2 games on the road. Seattle did that. Not many teams with a 3-2 lead going back on the road with a chance to have 2 opportunities to win 1 game to get to a World Series, lose both. Seattle did that. And then, of course, last night, Seattle's got a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th inning, 9 outs away to going to their first ever World Series, and they blew that. Dan Wilson wasn't exactly Casey Stengel last night. I never would have taken out Kirby after 4 innings. I can't allow the kid reliever to pitch to Springer when he had pitched 2 innings the night before, and his best reliever, Munoz, was in the bullpen. I wouldn't have bunted when it was 1-1 in the 2nd inning for the bottom part of his lineup. I mean, it's a brutal loss, Stevie, Chrissy, and Mr. Saturday. I mean, the Mariners haven't been in the World Series since they've been in the sport. They got a 2-0, 3-2, and then a 3-1 lead in Game 7. And Springer hits the board of the moon in the bottom of the 7th inning. That is Seattle's never going to get over it. That's how bad that loss was. And I do think, man, Dan Wilson, the manager of the Mariners, made some pitching decision mistakes. And obviously the Blue Jays took advantage.
So I'm looking at the Blue Jays right now, and I'm thinking about them against the Dodgers. I give them a lot of props because I'm kind of surprised they came back after being down 0-2, especially losing the first 2 games on their own home turf, Doggy. I think that says a lot about their resolve. Vladimir Guerrero is something special. Speak to how special this dude is and the potential for him to galvanize this team against the Dodgers.
Now, 100%, Stevie. Well done. Guerrero has been, a subpar regular season, at least on his standards. He's a former MVP, $400 million contract, but he has just been fearless in his postseason. If it's possible, he outshined Judge in the divisional series when the Blue Jays beat the Yankees, and he was a big factor in this series. He gives them some confidence. They'll be a pain in the neck against the Dodgers. I don't think they're going to beat them, but Steve, they're going to be a pain in the neck. They got home court, home field. Best team in the American League. They have a very good lineup. Dodgers have the week off. They have to navigate. Dodgers beat them 2 out of 3 in the regular season in LA. I think the Blue Jays will handle themselves pretty well in this 7-game series. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they'll be very, very competitive. And as you said, Guerrero is excellent. Their lineup is very, very deep. They have decent enough starting pitching. I think it'd be a pretty good World Series. I don't think it's going to be a 7-game unbelievable classic, but I think it will be a pretty good World Series. I really do, and you make an excellent point. Guerrero is a tremendous, he's like his father. I mean, he's a tremendous, tremendous hitter. No question about it.
And you know what? They got opportunistic hitters as well, so I give Toronto a lot of credit. I'm shocked at how Ohtani has struggled. I know he had a big hit last game, but I expected more from him in this postseason. He was struggling, obviously. Do you see any vulnerabilities from the Dodgers in this series in terms of their hitting? Because we don't hope, we expect the Dodgers to show up with their bats. I'm not sure that's something that we can definitively say against Toronto coming up in this World Series. I think this could end up going 7 games, Doggy.
Well, I hope you're right, Steve. Here's what I would say about the World Series. If you're going to pull off a huge upset, if you're like the Blue Jays and they'd be a big underdog, I think you got to win the first game. Milwaukee had a chance to win the first game, 9th inning, bases loaded. Turang strikes out, put a little fear into the Dodgers in their bullpen. When the Giants beat the Indians and Mays made that great catch, 54, they were a huge underdog. They won Game 1. They swept the Indians. When the Pirates beat the Yankees in 60, Mazeroski hit the huge home run, huge underdog. They won Game 1 at Yankee Stadium. When Gibson hit the home run against the A's in 88, they were a huge underdog, the Dodgers. Gibson hit the home run against Oakland in the 9th inning of Game 1 at Dodger Stadium. They beat him in 5 games. So I think in order for Toronto to have a chance here, they need to win this first game on Friday night. I think that will be very, very important. Listen, I think if the Dodgers have any vulnerabilities here, I still think it's their bullpen, Steve. I mean, they're going to pitch Snell, and they're going to pitch Glasnow. They're going to pitch Yamamoto and probably Ohtani. Those 4 are excellent. Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, they have enough hitting. I think their bullpen could get them in a little trouble. But keep an eye on Game 1, Steve. I think that's the key game. If the Blue Jays win Game 1, give the Dodgers something to think about. Like the Pacers did last year against OKC. Huge underdog. They won Game 1. right there, the whole series, they played a game 7. I think kind of sort of what the Blue Jays will have to do here to have a chance to win.
My last comment would be this to you and Amina. The Dodgers in their rotation, I mean, since the Redskins, the wild card series, Dodgers starters, 140 ERA with 81 strikeouts and 64 in the third innings. Their rotation, I mean, these brothers show up. Yeah. It's going to their bullpen, obviously. If you're Toronto, you got to make sure you're not swinging at early pitches. You got to make sure they'll link the at-bats to get the starters out there to get to their bullpen. It seems like that's going to be Toronto's best chance. And I think Toronto could pull that off to make this a 7-game series.
Yeah, the Blue Jays definitely
now, their
have
pitching has been great, Steve. 100%. No, Tony had that historic game on Friday night. Let's see how he handles his World Series.
That's right.
Good job.
Exactly.
See you tomorrow.
Everyone will be looking for it. Thanks so much, Matt.
All right, doggy.
Coming up, Stephen A. will finally have his chance to react to Dallas dismantling the Commanders. That's next. And the NBA season is here.